Acid buffer and alkaline buffer. I'm going to tell you a little story. Then I'm going to tell you what to do. I had 2 5-pound containers, one of acid buffer and one of alkaline buffer. Now, they look the same. They're both a white powder. I had them in 2 buckets, and I've been using them for years. They were in a new fish room I set up, and I had a brand new helper in the fish room, and he was so excited to be there and to be able to help. He was just working his little butt off trying to be helpful. Well, I went down to my tanks one day and I started adjusting pH. This is before I learned not to do this.
So learn not to do it.
Right. One of the reasons I learned not to do it. So I put some material in, and the pH went up, and then it went down. And I thought, what? And I tried it again. It went up, and then it went down. And I looked at him, and I looked at that, and said, what's going on? Well, I don't know. And I began looking around. And the other bucket was gone. I couldn't find it. It was the pH up bucket was there, but the pH down bucket was gone. And I said, where's the other bucket? He said, oh, I needed that for water, so I just dumped them together because they're the same.
Oh, my.
Right, so it went up and it went down. Made it utterly useless.
No kidding. They
Really?
Man, they just neutralized each other.
True story. Story. So I threw that out. And I never used it again. That was it. I was done with that stuff.
Well, when it comes to raising the pH, I mean, there's so many things that work. And you've taught me this. Eggshells work. The cuttle bone that the birds use, that works. Baking soda, that works. And
calcium chloride works.
Calcium chloride.
I'll tell you what else will work. Vitamin C tablets work.
But what if they have flavoring in it? It would have to be like straight up, like powdery.
Well, I don't know. Then the fish might develop a taste for cherry or something. I don't know.
Well, you know.
Probably won't hurt anything, but yeah, vitamin C works.
Vitamin C works too.
It's got calcium in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, what about lowering the pH? That was difficult for me. And then I started putting leaf litter, and yeah, it was mostly the peat moss.
Yeah, biological activity.
Yeah.
Biological activity burns off carbonates.
So, I mean, the more my fish poop, the lower the pH goes.
Theoretically. Now, the reality is, if you have very hard water with a high KH, you will struggle to get it to come down very much. It won't come down easily.
I do. Quickly. It shocked the heck out of me when I found a fish tank with like a 6.0, and I was like trying to figure out what happened. And I was like, well, if I need an acidic tank, I know what to do now. I put in a lot of peat. I put peat granules. I actually had a piece of wood that was leaching tannins. And I was using alder cones.
Yeah.
That were soaking in a bucket for a week.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
So, Chris, if you're going to do a cinder block, consider the weight of the blocks, because I don't know what they weigh. They're about 25 pounds per 8-inch block. So if you're going to do 6 blocks, that's 150 pounds on top of the 650 that you already got. You're pushing 1,000 pounds then.
Yeah, I was considering the weight of the sand, deep substrate, as opposed to the weight of the water. I was doing
that's
calculations
3
on
to 4
that.
bags, so that's 200 pounds of sand right there.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
was doing
and then the water
mathematical
is 8 pounds.
calculations on that.
Right, water is 8 pounds a gallon. So that's 600.
Mm-hmm.
6 and 2 is 8. The tank itself is 100 is 9. The stand is 50 or 60, depends what you make it of. So you're easy at 1,000 pounds.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's where it's at right now. At least on my 75. So
Right.
it's holding. Woohoo!
So it becomes significant to know how it's sitting on the floor and where your beams are running, so that you're not creating stresses. Here's the thing: the tank isn't like jumping up and down. It's steady state, same weight, constant pressure, unrelenting pressure, continuous pressure. You've been under that kind of pressure before, you have a sense of what that means. It never gives up. It never gets lighter. It never gets easier. It is hard and heavy all the time. And that can collapse things.
Over time.
Can cause, over time, that can create stresses that break things down. So it really is important to know that you're putting your tank in a room in the strongest position it can be. Particularly a big tank. Little tanks doesn't matter so much, but anything over 50 gallons, 7,500 gallons. I took a tank out of, or was supposed to take a 400-gallon tank out of a house once. It was acrylic, 1 inch. I think it was an inch, might have been 2. Really thick acrylic. The thing was 5 feet tall, 10 feet wide, and about 4 feet deep. Monster tank. 10, what's that? 40, 5's 260. Weighed about a ton. Just the water was a ton, 2,000 pounds. And he had about 500 pounds of sand in it, 2,500. The stand, I don't know, that was heavy. Probably a ton and a half altogether. Monster tank. I had 10 big men. They were fire department firefighters, big, strong men. They could not lift the tank. I gave up on it. I gave up. They could pick it up, but they couldn't do anything with it. And there was no easy way to get it out of the house. I mean, it was an impossible situation. We've had to take the door frame off to move it. So I gave up on it. I was going to come back with a lift. Meanwhile, the one called me and said, "Don't worry about it. I got it taken care of." It was taken care of by Ohio Rescue, who sent some people down. They dropped it.
The Ohio Rescue people dropped it?
They dropped it. That's what I heard. They dropped it and it broke. It was ruined. So it went out in pieces.